Hello and welcome to another episode of Create, Lead, Live. I'm Emily Wilkes and I'm really thrilled that you've been able to join me for today's session. Today I'm going to be chatting about the power of spirit and the way in which it can support you as you create the outcomes that you dream of in your business and in your life. And I guess I really wanted to talk about this because when I talk about spirit and when I talk about inner wisdom, often I emphasize the ways in which it can guide us, the ways in which it can provide us with inspiration, where it can provide us with support, where it can provide us with, ideas and thoughts, and it can lead us in different directions in our lives. It can inspire us to kind of move and change direction, or it can move us to keep moving in the direction that we're already going. It can give us all kinds of light bulb moments and ideas and thoughts that help us on our journey, whatever that journey may be. But I wanted to talk about the element of power of spirit as well, and the creative side of spirit. So I talk often about the idea that we are the creator of our own experience and of our own lives, and I want to kind of delve into this in a little bit more detail today. So what I mean when I say we are the creator is that I believe deeply that we are connected to that spirit that is connected to everything else in the universe as well. And so when I talk about us being the creator, I believe that we are connected to that creative power. We're connected to it all the time. And through that connection, we can access the power of the universe to create whatever it is that we're dreaming of. And I really want to emphasize this because I think in the spiritual community, in the spiritual world more generally, we can sometimes give our power away. We can sometimes say, or we can sometimes believe that we are at the kind of mercy of spirit, or we are at the mercy of the universe, and that what comes and what happens, flows, what happens to us in our lives is something that is outside of our power, our connection to that inner wisdom and spirit, like that we're a body and that we're kind of just floating along and reactive and responsive to it rather than creative. I deeply believe that we are creative beings. I deeply believe that we're spiritual beings. I believe that that spirit that we have within us is what connects us to everything else. And that is where the power lies. It's not just something that is within us. It is held within humanity, within the universe. It's something that is much, much bigger than just us as an individual, but that through that vision that we have, or through that clarity of mind, that clarity of our direction, our mission, the impact that we want to make in the world, that we can connect into that power of creativity, that universal creative power, and we can basically turn anything that we dream of or hope for into our reality through that connection that we have with the universal wisdom. So one of the things that can really help us is to actually step out of that reactive mode, or that sense of being disempowered, into that empowered mode of us seeing ourselves as the creator, along with that universal creative energy which exists around us. And so starting from that place, like thinking about you as the creator, being really clear about what it is that you're creating, like getting really clear, like having that vision as crystal clear in your mind, that vision as crystal clear in your mind as you can possibly make it. So starting with that and allowing space for that to come through to you. And when you connect to that universal wisdom, that will support you on that journey of clarity. So often we think we want certain things in our lives, or we desire to create certain things in our lives from a place of belief in what we should want, or what we should be doing, or how our expectations of where we should be heading, or how things should be unfolding, as opposed to that deep clarity of vision that comes from connecting with our inner wisdom and our intuition, which helps you to actually see what aligns most deeply with your spirit. So it's a process of, in a way, co-creating that vision with the universe, where you're actually inviting your spirit to help you to uncover your grandest visions. One of the things that can happen is we hold ourselves back. So the beliefs that we hold, or our human mind, our fears, our doubts, our worries, our expectations can cloud our vision. They can influence the grandness of what we can see. So we often, will decide on something that we think we want or that we're connected with. And when you start to connect with your inner wisdom, with your spirit, that vision will become clearer and clearer and clearer. And what you will find as you do that is that elements of your vision will drop away. You'll start to realize that they don't hold that depth of alignment with your spirit. They don't hold that connection with your heart that you thought that they did. And you'll start to find that elements of that vision will drop away and others will come to the forefront. You'll start to see yourself living that vision. You'll start to feel what it will be like. You'll start to imagine it happening. You'll start to experience it in all of your senses. You'll start to know and believe and trust within yourself that that vision that you have can be your reality, and that it is your reality already in your mind, but that it can also be your reality in the practical sense, in terms of what you see unfolding into your life. And so this ability that we have to really connect with that vision and gain that clarity through that inner wisdom process, or through that willingness to suspend what we think we should want and what we think we should need and how we believe we should be operating, and into that space of allowing that vision to come forth, is where our creative power lies. Because what's happening is we're not just getting clearer on the vision that we have for ourselves, but we're aligning more powerfully with that flow of energy that's moving through the universe and through ourselves. And instead of pushing and pulling in a different direction, we're actually aligning ourselves with what is in our absolute, dream, vision or destiny that we imagine for ourselves. So there's that strong alignment. It becomes something that you feel in every ounce of your being. It becomes something that you have conviction around, that you believe in, that you trust, and that guides you and helps you to kind of move forward and take one step, put one foot in front of the other as you actually witness that journey unfolding. So it's a really powerful thing for us to be doing, is to connecting in with our inner wisdom and the creative side of ourselves, that powerful side of ourselves, and owning it and stepping in and saying, I can create this dream that I have, that anything that I dream of, anything that I can conceive of is possible for me, and that through inviting my spirit to support me in this journey, that I trust and know that it is only a matter of time before I see it in my reality. And I wanted to talk a little bit about the way in which we defer to our spirit. And, I've touched on this already, but I hear it often in my business as well, like, oh, maybe it just wasn't meant to be. I'll give it a year. Like, that's the thing that we often say, or we give ourselves time to see what's going to unfold or how things are going to happen, or we surrender our power and we give the power over to the universe to lead us, and we wait for those answers to flow, or we wait for that guidance to flow before we'll do anything. And I think that this is, in many ways, like a decision that we make when we don't realize the creative power that we have, when we don't trust the creative power that we have, when we think that the universe is somehow outside of us. That universal energy is part of you, and therefore you have the creative power that the universe has. And the universe doesn't really have an ideal path for you to go down. It doesn't have your destiny set in stone. The universe is there to support you as co-creator in that direction or that destiny that you're creating, based on that vision that you have, based on that, heartfelt connection that you have with that mission that you have in the world, or that direction that you envisage yourself following. And I think the biggest part of this is about separating out the analytical side from the heart-driven connection with our inner wisdom side. The analytical side is the side that tells you of all the things that it thinks that you should be doing. Those things are analytical because they're in your mind. They're not necessarily going to connect with what is in your heart. They will arouse certain feelings in you, but they're never going to be at that deeper level of that vision that's connected with your heart. The things that you feel within you, that path that you are called towards, and that, dream that is unbridled by rules and expectations and the kind of boundaries of the real world. And that, I guess really free. It's free to be what it is. And so as you connect with that inner wisdom within you and you allow yourself to expand your vision and you allow yourself to see that grand vision that's possible for you, then you start to connect with that creative power. You start to create those things in your reality. You create it through that alignment with that vision, through that alignment with the deep connection with your heart and what it feels like to be living that dream. You start to experience it in the here and now because you're allowing yourself to experience it first as a vision, and then you start to do the things that it takes to bring that vision into your reality. So you start to align with the vision in terms of the actions that you're taking, in terms of the feelings that you have around stepping forward and doing these things. So as an example, I use this one as an example quite often, is you have a vision potentially as a coach or as a business owner of making a difference in the world in some particular way. And while you have that vision and you see that vision and you feel that vision, and you're deeply connected with it, you'll be taking those steps because you'll have insights and inspiration and wisdom that comes to you along the way, light bulb moments which help you to know what step to take next or what to do next, and where to go next and who to talk to next. And it starts to really just flow through you really easily and gracefully. You start to know exactly what to do. And that's not to say that you're not going to encounter barriers or challenges or uncertainties or questions which come up for you along the way. But that connection that you have, that depth of connection, will help you to navigate. It will help you to find your way. It'll help you to find your way around those barriers or through those barriers. It will enable you to kind of transcend those barriers or to realize that they're not a barrier at all, that they're actually helping you on your journey, or they're helping you to find your way. And so this sort of willingness to accept the power, like to accept the power of creativity that we have and to own it and to choose for ourselves rather than waiting for the universe necessarily to carve it out for us. We'll find ourselves standing still a long time if we're waiting for the universe to choose the path, if we're waiting for it to decide for us. We have to do, we have that free will. We have that capacity within us to decide where we're going and to align with that universal connection in order to enable that vision and that decision to be enacted in our world, enacted in our lives. And you may find that there's something that you think that you should want that you're not connected to, that you can reconnect to at a deeper level when you start to think about, and money is a really good example of this, where a lot of people find aligning with a particular money goal in their business just does not connect with them. Seeing money as a motivator or as a driver, even though in many ways, like, there's this view that we're seeking abundance or we're seeking money to flow through in our business. For many of us, the connection isn't about the money itself. It's about the reason why we want the money, the reason why we desire it, the impact that we believe that money will have in our lives, in the lives of others, in the life of our business, in the impact that we're able to make in the world. And so deciding, from an intellectual or analytical perspective on that vision is not going to resonate with you as deeply, and it's not going to have the creative power as when you actually connect with the why behind what it is that you think you want. So as you go through this process of connection with your inner wisdom, you will get to that deeper and deeper level of why you desire what you desire, what it's really about, where it's coming from, why it's driving you as powerfully as it is, and how it can powerfully drive you even more through that connection with your reasons for doing it, with that connection with your heart and the feelings that you're going to experience as you are living that vision. So it's sort of like a process of shifting from the intellectual process of setting goals or setting a vision that seems nice in theory, but moving into a heart-based vision that you have, that where you're connected at a whole other level, an emotional level and at a spiritual level of you're creating something that has a grander meaning in your life. It has a grander meaning in the life of the universe. It's not just about you anymore. It shifts from being about just what you want for your own, comfort and happiness in your own day-to-day life, to the kind of grander impact that you are having in the world through that vision that you are creating. And so I think this is something that, it really does need to be something that comes from deeper within you, not just an intellectual pursuit of deciding on, here's some goals that I'm going to create this year in my business or in my life, but more about, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? And continuously feeling really connected with that why and that heart-centered purpose behind everything that you do. This is where the creative power really lies. So I want to talk about the power itself, and I think that the power of the universe and of your own creativity is like water flowing. And I'm using this example particularly this week because I had a vision recently of that flow of universal energy being like the rapids, like riding the rapids of life or riding the rapids in your business. That this universal energy is a flow. And I think I've had this kind of perspective for a long time, like the channel of abundance being open. There is like this flow which happens in the universe, the flow of abundance, the flow of ideas, the flow of inspiration, the flow of creativity. It's like a constant flow. The flow of love. It's a constant flow of energy, which is constantly moving, and we can choose to flow with it, or we can choose to brace ourselves against it and resist it. And when we have an intellectual kind of dream or vision that's not necessarily connected with that flow of energy, there will be this sense of trying to pull and maneuver and manipulate what's happening around us to fit that vision that we have in our minds. But when you are connected with that universal flow of energy and that flow of inspiration, that flow of guidance and that flow of your own vision, being connected to that grander picture and that purpose and meaning behind what you're doing, what you will find is you will be riding that power of the universe. You'll be riding that flow of energy and that power, where you'll be actually going with it. You'll be enabling it to happen. You'll be allowing it to flow into your life. You'll be flowing with it. You'll be, instead of resisting it and stopping yourself and slowing yourself down on the journey, you'll be allowing it in. You'll be trusting it. You'll be knowing in your heart that you don't know exactly where it's leading you, but that you're willing to trust it and you're willing to flow with it, that you know that your creative power lies in that creative flow of the universe, and that when you're moving with it, when you're trusting it, when you're allowing space for it, that you'll be actually creating most powerfully in your life and in your business. You'll be creating the dream, that vision that you have, because you'll be aligning with that flow. You'll be going with it instead of trying to swim upstream or just hold on and try to keep yourself safe or comfortable. So it's not always going to be comfortable for you. Sometimes there's going to be some discomfort that comes with that flow because we're not necessarily used to doing it. We're used to seeing ourselves as powerless in many ways, but also trying to control things in many ways. So this is in many ways us surrendering our control, but also holding tight to that vision, like keeping that vision in mind and flowing with it rather than necessarily trying to maneuver and create something that doesn't align with that flow from within us. So I kind of wanted to use that example because it's something which has come up recently for me quite a bit, and it comes up all the time in my business as well, like in the work that I do with clients. Like often we find ourselves frightened to kind of move with the flow because it can bring new experiences to us. It can bring new circumstances and new challenges that we haven't experienced before, things that we are not necessarily comfortable with yet because we haven't done it before. And so it's allowing ourselves that space to be aware of the ways in which our inner, our intellectual, analytical mind will try to keep us safe. It will try to slow things down. It will try to keep us in comfortable situations. It will try to make us choose paths that are familiar rather than paths that are necessarily fulfilling those dreams that we have. And so this is a process of acknowledging that part of ourselves and being aware of it and allowing its space to have its say or to have its impact on how we're approaching things and what we're doing. Acknowledging it, but also choosing to follow that path of inspiration, that path of inner wisdom, that path of guidance from our heart. So whilst the mind wants to keep us safe, it wants to protect us from scary feelings and scary, situations or daunting situations, there's a part of us that loves, there's a part of us that trusts, there's a part of us that is courageous, there's a part of us that wishes to flow with that energy of the universe rather than holding ourselves back. And so this process of seeing that vision of the water flowing and allowing ourselves to move with it is that acknowledgement that it's going to be scary at times, it's going to be uncomfortable at times, we're going to grab on at times, but as we experience that sense of grabbing on and finding our sense of safety again, that will enable us to let go again. It will enable us to move again, to be free, to kind of explore the opportunities that present themselves to us that we couldn't have even imagined or anticipated or expected. And the process starts to become more and more effortless, because instead of us trying to control, us trying to maneuver, manipulate, create, instead of us trying to use our own means, our physical human means, to make things happen or to create things or to keep ourselves safe, we're actually flowing, we're actually going with things, we're unimpeding them, but we're allowing them to happen. We're allowing ourselves to kind of move with that flow rather than trying to stop ourselves and keep ourselves safe, because now we trust and now we feel confident that that flow is where we're meant to be. That flow is where we're meant to be moving. That flow we don't have to know where we're going to end up to know that it's going to be good, but we trust that when we flow with that universal energy and that universal connection that we have, that all of our dreams will flow from that everything that we can possibly imagine and more lays on that path of flow, and that in trusting that and enabling that and enabling ourselves to go with it is where the beauty is going to unfold from, and where the magic is going to unfold from us actually surrendering our own efforts and enabling that power of the universe to flow through us and to flow through everything that we do and everything that we choose in our lives and in our business as well. So I hope that this concept has been helpful to you, that it's helped you to kind of think about and see yourself as the creator and to reclaim that part of yourself rather than necessarily feel like you're at the mercy of the universe and its decision-making process. I want to reiterate again that the universe doesn't really mind what you dream of. It doesn't really mind what you envisage. It will support you no matter what. And that it's just a process of us aligning our vision with that flow of energy so that we can connect with it and flow with it and see everything that we dream of flow into our reality. So I hope this has been of value and that it's been something that you've enjoyed listening to. Please don't hesitate to reach out and connect with me anytime. Share with me your thoughts, what's come up for you. Has this been something that's resonated with you? Has it triggered you in some ways? I think any time that we talk about this idea about ourselves being the creator, it can be deeply triggering. And I think, I want to qualify when I talk about this as saying that we are the creator, but we're also the experiencer. We're also choosing how we experience what happens to us. So things happen in your life that you didn't necessarily bring into your life. You didn't necessarily create those challenging situations that flowed to you. You didn't necessarily create those difficult experiences that happen to you or that are happening to you right now. It's not a matter of you blaming yourself or taking that on board as believing that you are creating negative things in your life. It's more about accepting responsibility for our perception of things and how we see things. And sometimes what feels difficult in our lives is an opportunity for us. Sometimes what feels challenging is an opportunity for us to grow and stretch and learn and move into a new area of our lives. It was just scary because it wasn't familiar. It wasn't something we'd done before. So I really want to make sure that I kind of finish on that note by saying, don't feel like you brought bad things into your life or that you've created negative things with the way that you think. That's not how this creativity works. It's more about our perception of our lives, and our experience of our lives is influenced by the way that we see things. It's not that those things were created by us. It's more about how we experience them and how we choose to see them is influenced by the way that we perceive them and the way that we use that vision within us to kind of guide and direct the way that we experience our lives. So I hope that this has been a helpful kind of a way of looking at things. I'd love to hear from you, as I mentioned before. Until next time, take care. Speak soon. Bye.